Bob Condotta, who covers the Seattle Seahawks for the Seattle Times. Bob, thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Sure. Hey, how you guys doing?
Bob, this game would be, I think, looked at a little bit closer if Russell Wilson was playing in here in this football game. We had one of the top handicappers say, when they put that board up, Russell Wilson is worth 6.5 points, the difference when you set it up. And that is unbelievable what he's done for this football team, kind of putting it on his back.
For sure, yeah. He made 149 straight starts until he had to miss the one against Pittsburgh. He's basically the winningest quarterback in NFL history through 7, 8, 9 seasons of a career, and second year wins the Super Bowl here. So no doubt about it. I mean, that's why quarterbacks like Russell make $35-40 million a year. You hope that they're a lot better than the backup. Otherwise, you're not paying them. That's why you're paying them to do that. So it's no secret that the elite quarterbacks are better than the backups. And Seattle though is lucky. Geno Smith is at least a guy who's played a lot and hasn't played a lot recently, but did play a lot early in his career. Has been on the big stage quite a bit. So. They were able to do some things, especially the second half of that Pittsburgh game last week offensively, where I think they felt like they found some answers.
Bob, I look at the Saints and Seahawks. I don't know if you say rivalry, but teams have been relevant, especially with Sean Payton at the helm with the Saints. And you look at Pete Carroll. When I look at the Seahawks and Saints fans, the Who Dat Nation, we got humbled, beast mode. Marshawn Lynch. And we all remember that, considering they were 500, under 500, and you're in the postseason. So there's a lot of connections there. Then I look at, I want to say you probably remember this because I know you were, I think we probably had you on. I know it was primetime, whether Sunday night or Monday Night Football, and Seattle spanked the Saints. I want to say they scored over 40 points. And, it doesn't matter who was playing quarterback. But then I look at the last time we went to Seattle. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater's playing quarterback. Deontay Harris takes a punt to the house. Scoop and score. So the Saints Seahawks fans are not involved in the game. I guess I was somewhat surprised because I respect the Seahawks and playing at home. When you look at the 5.5 point spread, I mean, so what is your take on that? Because the one thing about on the Sean Payton and the Saints, it seems like they always have stability, even though it's like post-Drew Brees. And I know the last time Alvin Kamara got off against Seattle. So how do Seahawks fans view the Saints? I mean, because it's like two different countries.
Yeah. Right now, I don't know if the Seahawks fans are really that worried about who the opponent is because of this team is just in such uncharted waters. The discussion is how are we going to survive this season being already 2-4 and we don't have Russell Wilson at quarterback and the defense is not playing very well, even though it did play a little better against Pittsburgh. So I think it's one of those things right now where it's just they've got to win a game. It doesn't matter who it is Monday. It could be Riverside High School or whatever. If you fall to 2-5 and the Rams and the Cardinals are each huge favorites at home against the teams that they are, and if you fall to 5 games back in the division, you can completely kiss off the division. And at 2-5, even getting back to 500 and getting in the wild card race is going to be hard. So it's really that. That's what the discussion in Seattle is right now. So no offense to the Saints. I'm sure you want to hear me say they really think a lot about the Saints.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not going to lie and say that anybody's talking that much about the Saints. It's more
they were worried about their team.
Yeah. I mean, last year was such a weird year, obviously, with no fans there, and they were pretty dominant at home. I think they were 7-1 at home last year, so they sort of kept that going. But yeah, they've lost a couple of home games already this year, both sort of tight games that went down to the wire. And obviously, the Rams game when Russell Wilson gets hurt, the first time in 10 years we've seen someone else there, you sort of put an asterisk by that. It's hard. Right. It's hard to draw a lot of conclusions there, but the Seahawks have not been quite as dominant at home the last couple of years, but. I think the easy answer is I don't know that they've been as good last few years either. Right. You lose all the players they did off that defense that they had, and they haven't quite put it together quite the same way. So I don't know that teams coming in here are as intimidated by the Seahawks as they were, for that 5 or 6 year stretch from 2012 to 2017 or 18 or so.
Right.
So I think it's just sort of that as much as anything. But it's definitely something, the Seahawks, the one thing they can point to, obviously it's a really disappointing start, but they played 4 of their first 6 on the road. And so they are home for, 3 of their next 4 here. And the next 2, if they could beat the Saints, then they host Jacksonville after that. So, if they can get the win Monday, I think they feel like they get to 4-4 before their bye. And given everything, you'd still be in the playoff race and all of that. So that's why, a lot of people here are sort of looking at this game against the Saints as maybe the most important of the year right now. Because if you fall to 2-5, and then even if you beat Jacksonville, you got to go play Green Bay and Arizona after that. It could slip away fast. So if you can beat the Saints, get to 4-4, going into their bye, and then going into the couple of November games they have.
Yeah,
you sort of got a chance.
And Bob, why it's so important, way more important than the Jacksonville game, because the tiebreaker, it's an NFC opponent. What do you do head-to-head? We don't know what's going to transpire at the end, who's a wild card, who's in the postseason. That's why it's important to me.
For sure, and the Seahawks already have a tough one like that. They lost a game to Minnesota, which is a team that
right.
sort of, looks like they're going to be right there. Probably not going to win their division and be right there in the wild card hunt. So for sure, but I also just look at, the Seahawks already they'd have to go 7-4 the rest of the way just to finish 9-8, which is probably the minimum to be in the wild card hunt. And there's probably 5 games you look at their schedule right now and think they're going to be underdogs in, and including the New Orleans game, Monday, in which they are. So. It's just imperative that they start winning games, basically, if they really want to stay in this thing.